Welcome to the Brand Forum. I'm Jeremy Bloom with my co-host, Josh Palau.
How are you, Jeremy?
I'm great, Josh. I'm great. This is going to be a very fun episode. We've got a special guest here. We have the Chief Operating Officer and CMO of Variety, Dea Lawrence, with us today. And this is going to be fun, specifically because Dea and I actually worked with each other about 10 and a half, 11, 12 years ago, somewhere in there.
That was 2014.
2014. Yeah. So between 11 and 12 years ago.
Specifically.
Truly. And you have been crushing it at Variety.
Thank you.
Wearing two different C-suite hats. That's impressive. A legacy brand that's been around for over 100 years.
120 years. This is our 120th birthday. We were born in December of 1905 in Hell's Kitchen, New York City.
Well, happy early birthday, Dea. That's exciting.
Thank you.
Jumping right into this.
Yes.
120 years old. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about just you, yourself, your role, and all the transformation that's taking place?
Well, I just want to say this is my second time at Variety.
A boomerang.
I did a boomerang. So I do want to say that whenever you leave a role and you leave a position, you make sure you leave it in the absolute best possible way you can, because you do not know ever what the future brings and when you may want to go back. So I was blessed and fortunate to be able to come back to Variety because it is my most favorite place I've ever worked. So I came in as the Chief Marketing Officer to reinvent their events business, to build up new areas of business for them. And basically, as the Chief Marketing Officer, I am really responsible for developing the product that is taken to market. And how are we going to position it? How are we going to sell it? How are we going to price it? And then training everyone on it. As the Chief Operating Officer, I run the day-to-day. I just want to say, I was up at 2:30 this morning doing my emails. And then tonight I'm going to the Hollywood and Pixels event. Last night we produced Hollywood and Horror. So I'm hoping I'm going to be able to power through till 11 tonight. But we'll see how that goes.
2:30 a.m. PT. Okay, that is amazing.
I do run I manage the P&L for Variety, and I run the day-to-day operations and everything that's entitled, with that. Involved with that, not entitled.
That's a lot. I mean, I think it's funny because we were talking about this earlier. Obviously, the history of Variety,
yes.
like how does it? You go from you don't have to keep the brand young, right? I don't think it's about that, but like how are you finding it works with adapting the brand, just keeping it feeling like it's still in the moment,
fresh, right? So here's how we operate at Variety. We have a very specific Variety way. There's a reason why we have been in business for 120 years. And that is we have never veered from our DNA, right? We know what this brand is, and we pass this on, even though Variety was a very different place when I worked on it in the first iteration. However, it still had Variety's DNA. So we are rooted in our history. Given that, we always write about the business of entertainment. It's all about the authority of the business of entertainment. It starts from there. And then we branch out to how do we take this and branch out into other areas? How do we align our brand with the cultural moments of the day? But Variety has its finger on the pulse of culture. We are wildly prescient about what is coming up next? Who are the next big stars? Who are the next top musicians? And we even have these 10 to watch lists where we identify who these people are. And when you go back over 20 years and see who got on our list, all of them are top stars. So we really understand culture.
I'm just writing a note to look up what prescient means because it sounds wonderful as a word, but
you can look it up.
You did great, but just the story is wonderful. It doesn't matter whether I know that word or not. But and that's amazing because I think in my mind it's like it's like you said you're always writing about entertainment, which is in some ways going to force you to stay current.
Media and entertainment,
right? Which will always force you in some ways to stay current. I mean, I think like are there times when like you realize that like okay, Variety like we can reinvent ourselves or like how does that sort of process work in a time?
So we have been constantly reinventing ourselves, but keeping to our DNA. So when you reinvent yourself in an organization, and I'm sure you have experienced this, you're always going to be met with resistance. Okay, people don't like change.
Very true.
Okay,
Very,
they just
very
don't like
true.
it. So you've got to go like baby steps. Okay, we're going to move into this area. So the way it works, for example, last week we had our big meeting with Jay Penske, our chairman, and we're determining what new areas do we want to go into. But editorial has to align, and the business team must align with editorial. There has to be this very cohesive relationship between the two, not stepping on toes, not business team. We have to be very careful that we do not cross over that editorial line, because we have the best journalists. We have the best entertainment journalists in the world. We have the most and the best. And so this is a conversation. So I will give you an example of, how have we done something new and exciting that maybe we would not have done in 2007.
Sure.
Last night we did our Hollywood and horror event. It was the first time we did something with the horror genre, right? Because we look at what we do is we look at the white space always. What is not being done? Because I do want to say this, and I say this all the time. Yeah. We lead and everybody else copies us. They are always copying every single thing we do. And it is maddening to me. I was like, come up with your own ideas. Don't you have anyone over there that has a mind? Okay.
It's the best form of flattery, right?
Yes, it's a form of flattery, but I find it annoying.
But it's frustrating. I'm with you.
It's frustrating. Anyway, okay. So that being said, nobody's doing anything with horror. Okay, so we had someone on our team, brilliant executive. We need to be in this space. So we always start, whenever we're developing new franchises, we start with an impact list. Who are the most important people in this particular area? Who are the top people in the horror genre? And then we pull in, let's do a conversation with Jason Blum. We had a fantastic conversation with him, with a fascinating backstory, by the way. I mean, I want to do something called Origins, where we're talking about people's backstories, because it is very interesting to see where people in the entertainment industry, how they got their start and how they ended up where they are.
Dea, on that note, and that could be a new show that Variety and Marketecture does together.
Sure,
there we
let's
go.
Do it.
Cool. Well, let's do it. All right, so keep on going about Blum and about last night.
So we're like, okay, we're gonna put an event together. We're gonna pull conversations together. We're gonna put this list together. We're gonna put a stake in the ground. We're doing it. It was a huge hit last night. Packed. And then we even do things, even to say, let's not go to the typical place. Okay, so we do a lot. Okay, I don't know if you're aware, we produce over 90 events. Next year, we're going to do 100.
100 events,
yes.
Like in person?
Okay, I did 4 last week. Yes, IRL.
Crazy.
IRL.
Yeah.
Now, these events range from large-scale sit-down celebrity dinner events like the Power of Women, where we're honoring the top
invite.
women.
Come on.
Very tight. Let me tell you, my inbox is full of people going, I really need a ticket to the Power of Women. I'm like, yes, so does everyone else in this town. We're very exclusive. I'm sorry. That's part of our DNA. So
part of the brand.
It's part of the brand. To custom events where we're creating things, to screenings, to studios, to something like we did last night. But we do a lot in very upscale setting. We feed people extremely well. The food is very important to us. But like last night, we were like, let's go somewhere different. It's horror. So where we go has to represent, what the event is that we're putting on. So it was a huge success. And now we're like, boom, next year we're going to make it bigger. I had a conversation with Eli Roth, who was there. I said, hey, what if we did costumes? And we have people, I'm in. He's like, I'm in. Okay, great. Let's get Eli Roth. Next year we're going to do costumes. Hey, what if we do it in London? London's a good town for Halloween. We're going to do Hollywood and horror in London and in LA. And maybe we can do it in New York too. And then we'll put twists on it. And so that's how we build a franchise.
I love that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Speaking of Eli Roth.
Yes.
15, 20 years ago, I still do have an apparel company called kosherham.com.
Oh.
And he was an actual customer and wore it and sent a photo of himself wearing kosher ham t-shirts. So I just wanted to call it out.
Nice.
That brought the warm fuzzies back. Oh yeah, Perez Hilton, Ocho Cinco. We had everyone that was on Celebrity Rehab, but nonetheless,
Unrelated to the brand.
not unrelated to the brand, unrelated to Variety. But I thought that would add a bit of spice of life to the conversation.
It does.
Dea, so it sounds like between 100 different events.
Yes.
You are sitting at the crossroads where studios, brands, agencies, spectators, everyone wants to be part of the entertainment ecosystem while we're undergoing so much transformation, obviously. What are different trends that you're seeing about how brands are showing up in entertainment, just period, when it comes
branded
to
content? So this is what everybody wants from us now. So, and that is something that, the old Variety, if I had said, hey, we're going to start, because that's one of the things I did here. I started the Variety Content Studio. It was like, and we started this in 2017. If I had said this in 2007, we're going to start a branded content studio, they would have been like, get her out of the building. That's never going to happen. But it has been so successful. And something that brands come to us for all the time is our access to celebrity. Okay, we have access. We have access to anybody, right? We are the authority in entertainment. So this becomes challenging. This is a big trend. I think brand-funded films are a big trend. I don't know. Do you ever go to the brand storytelling conference? Have you ever been there?
I've met with the founders and
Rick,
have had meetings with them. Yeah. I'm
so
very
it's
familiar.
A great conference. So this is a big trend right now. And what we're seeing is more and more of these brands. There are two things that are going on. Brands are funding films about their brands. They are also funding, like what Michael Sugar is doing with his company, they are also funding television shows and movies that are not about their brands, but are about the values that their brands have. Like they reflect something. These are two sort of separate trends that are happening. I don't even know if it's a trend. I think that it's here to stay.
It's here to stay.
I'm not sure the brand-funded films about the brands are here to stay, but I do think the other is here to stay.
With you on the other, the second component. Yep.
So then so that is something that we're seeing. And then, of course, you have the age-old problem of any filmmaker, which is distribution. Distribution. Who's going to watch these movies? Who is watching these movies? And that's where we come in. We have a whole plan for that. But so, and just to speak of that, if you don't mind me going on.
Yeah, no, go on a little bit. But also,
I'm going on and on.
While you go on for that, I want you to be able to hit on just the approach of how brands are partnering with Variety. Because
yes. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Can I give you an example how a brand is partnering with Variety? All right, so I'm very proud of this. This is something that we're all at Variety extremely proud of. And we're so proud we did a panel at Advertising Week last week on it. So Panera Bread came through Digitas. We got an RFP. And they wanted to align with the Met Gala. And we are not Vogue. Sometimes people confuse the two V's.
Two V's. Yep. It makes a W.
There's Vanity Fair. There's three V's. Okay. We're Variety. And they wanted to, they knew we were Variety. And they said, we want to do something with you with your Met Gala after party. And we were like, we don't have a Met Gala after party. So how do we tap in to a cultural moment? So we have brilliant people working here, and we all brainstormed. We came up with all these incredible ideas, and they wanted to work with influencers. So that is the way brands want to engage with us. They want celebrities in the content. They want influencers. They want creators. So we immediately went to work, presented all these different ideas, and we ended up coming up with this 3-part launch of this new croissant sandwich. Now, I don't think if you had, when you think Variety, do you think Panera Bread?
No, initially, no. I don't.
Okay,
I don't.
We won this.
I still don't.
Okay, well, I encourage you to buy a croissant sandwich.
Right. I mean, if you started off talking about baguettes or sourdough, then yes.
The reason why there was some tie-in is that they came up with the idea. They knew that their audience loved fashion and was, fashion, entertainment. So they came up with this beautiful clutch, sort of looked like a Gaia handbag that kept the croissant sandwich warm. We came up with this 3-part. One was awareness. We hired this influencer. She wrote this beautiful, funny story about my first time in Paris. Girl goes to Paris once. Then we hired Nikki Campbell, who's the fashion influencer. We had a connection with him. He did a get ready with me for the Met Gala after party, carried the clutch. And then we did a reaction shot with another celeb holding the clutch, and we hired an influencer just to do a reaction shot. We won the whole business. It was enormously successful. I mean, Panera Bread was thrilled. Digitas is thrilled. And that's an example of how a brand can come and work with variety.
I
Does
love
that
it.
answer your question?
I love it. I was
Absolutely.
expecting bread bowl, like, Met Gala
everybody loves that
themed
bread bowl.
costumes. Yeah.
That's how we got the influencer, because the bread bowl is one of his favorite
Yep.
meals.
Always is. That's amazing.
This week on Dishing with Divas, we're exploring the wild snack aisle of the media marketplace with Farah Bazaminian, Global Vice President of Data Monetization at TiVo. Flavors are popping up faster than ever. Some sweet, some spicy, and some downright unexpected. Just like audiences sampling content across more platforms. At TiVo, metadata is seen as the foundation of content discovery and contextual relevance. And it often doesn't get the spotlight it deserves. Why is metadata so critical to effective cross-platform measurement?
Well, metadata, whether it's TV schedules or video metadata elements that we're speaking of, it is the unsung hero of cross-platform measurement. And the simple reason is that it gives context to content. And what that means is it tells us not just what people are watching, but how they are engaging with that content. And without strong and consistent metadata, you can't accurately connect viewership across platforms to compare performance.
Thank you, Faribault, for helping us sample the full spread of insights. Whether audiences are crunching linear, nibbling streaming, or snacking on social clips, understanding the full spectrum of flavors is what keeps advertisers and programmers ahead of the game.
When it comes to just the speed of how you guys operate, when you have 100 different events, when you're dealing with RFPs, when you're working with different
Very hard.
Cultural icons, brand influencers, you're dealing with entertainment media, podcasts, like the print,
Video series.
Pardon me?
Video series.
Video, of course,
series.
obviously.
We have a television show, Actors on Actors. Actors on Actors is, gazillion views. It is the most watched video series in the Penske property.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yes. We're about to announce a big TV deal.
That's going to be awesome. We can announce that during our new podcast, Variety and Marketing does together. But when you think about just the business of influence and the line between brands, entertainment brands, creators,
very blurred.
It's so blurred at this point. How does that change the marketing strategy? So if you're dealing with Amy, the CEO of Digitas, and you're dealing with Nara and the CMOs over there, and it's then going through a typical RFP process or a strategic partnership.
Yeah.
The influence model is way different when it comes to such a well-respected, well-oiled, 120-year-old brand, where you can't just flip the switch and turn on an influencer, so to speak. You obviously use your digital storytelling and social presence to tell a story. So tell us a little bit more about just the business of influence as a whole.
Yeah. All right. Well, so I love talking about this subject. I just moderated a panel at Entertainment and Technology with the top studio marketers about using influencers, really using creators, right? There's a difference between an influencer and a creator. And really, we're talking about creators, not just people who are like, here's my favorite mascara, click buy. Those are more influencers, and they have a specific market. They have their followers that they speak directly to, whereas creators are creating content. So we're going to be writing and covering much more about the business of creators. This is an important part of our strategy. But what we're finding is, first of all, Variety is an influencer. Let me just say that.
Absolutely.
And our audience, we always find it funny because they're like, oh, well, let's hire some influencer agencies have come to us about, we can help you with your variety marketing. We can get influencers. I'm like, hey, we got J-Lo. We have the top people in the world are sharing our posts and showing their photos on the cover of Variety. We don't need that, but we do need them in campaigns. And the studios have found the influencers are the most effective, cost effective at getting these messages out. This is not a trend. It is not a fad. These creators are here to stay. And I think there is still resistance. I was just talking to Amy at Digitas about this last week on our advertising panel. What happens when you're working with a company that is so resistant to using a creator? And how do you use a creator to their best effect, which is please don't micromanage a creator, right? Once you decide you are aligned with this creator, you have to be aligned with the creator.
Yeah, you have to trust them. Let them do their art.
You have to trust the creator to do their art. So we are excited about working with more creators in our campaigns that we're selling and distributing. But we are also very excited about, shining the light on who these people are. So, for example, last year we had, hot wings.
Yeah, hot ones.
Yeah, hot ones. Sorry, they're hot
University
wings,
of
but they're
Illinois
hot
alum.
ones.
Yep.
Yeah. I sound like my mother. The hot ones. Okay, the hot wings. Okay. So anyway, we had them at a panel at South by because South by is a sister publication of ours, a sister festival. We are all owned by
all under the Penske
all
umbrella.
Under the Penske umbrella, including the Golden Globes and Dick Clark and WWD and Rolling Stone, and so we
Marketecture eventually.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So we put them on the cover. We put Sean on the cover. I mean, I don't think anybody's ever done that before at a traditional publication.
Sure.
Right. So this is how we're moving into this area.
So I love that. Before Josh hits on the next series of questions, and being mindful of your busy schedule, Dea, for Hot Ones, what they're doing and what Sean is doing is it's a mix of content creation, influence, entertainment brand within itself. Right. Where a dear friend of mine, Chris Luna at Progressive Insurance, went and had one of the Progressive Insurance spokespeople, basically one of the characters, Dr. Rick, go on and do a taste testing, like doing a version of Hot Ones.
So great. With
Sean, which I thought was just absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant integration.
So I just want to call that out.
That's a real good one.
That's a very good one. So for us, it becomes a little more challenging to say, okay, we're going to take our editorial series and we're going to integrate, something like that. That would have to be branded content, because we have to have that line, that distinctive line.
But I think it's like you were saying, it's what keeps you true to the core values of variety, right? Like, so that's, I feel like throughout this entire interview, that's where you've been going. I'm curious. So you said you boomeranged, you were also a tube mogul. So you've gone through some massive sort of industry shifts.
AT&T, Point Roll.
A lot. And I love the fact that that you're working for this 150-year-old brand, but you've been at companies that have been at the forefront of things. 120. Yes. What's the through line that keeps you grounded? What's the thing that just always brings you back to, like, this is how I lead? And what kind of advice would you give to a CMO in terms of staying true to the brand and keeping it future proofed?
Yeah. Okay. So what is important is that we have always stuck to our core principles. And that is what I would tell any CMO, right? So you must stick to you must know yourself, right? Anybody branding themselves, you have to know yourself. You have to know the product. We always go back to Variety's DNA. Yes, we've been around for 120 years. We are connected and rooted in our history, which is about being the authority of the business of entertainment. So even when we're talking about creators, we always start with the business of entertainment. Of creators, the business of Broadway, the business of horror, the business of whatever it is. And then we branch out from there, right? So even our Power Women event, which is one of our most popular events, we honor the top, 5 women of the season for their charity work. And this is always about the impact list is about the top women in the business of entertainment. We never write about, so-and-so is dating so-and-so and they're getting a divorce and we're
that
not
gossip
Dumois,
stuff.
right?
No.
We're not that. So I would tell any marketer, please you really understand your brand's principles and try and create moments out of cultural moments. Try and find ways, and that keeps it fresh, right? Just like what you said, what Progressive is doing.
I really respect the fact that you brought up the business of, because going back to the initial introduction, you are the chief marketing officer and you're also the chief operating officer.
Yes.
You have to wear your business hat and you have to be conscious of the P&L. So saying how everything is the business of, it really hones in and reflects on the last component of this interview, of this great conversation. The biggest lessons from Hollywood that apply to marketing, like what are those? Like when it comes to entertainment.
Storytelling. That's storytelling.
Not even a pause.
This town is full of storytellers.
Time out. These aren't rehearsed. These aren't rehearsed questions. The fact that that was amazing. So storytelling.
That's what Hollywood's about. Hollywood, this is the town of storytellers. Everybody is a storyteller, including the salespeople, right? You are always telling a story. So when you're telling a story, let's say you're a showrunner, you're not just writing episode by episode, right? You got to look at the whole arc of the story. You got to understand who the characters are. You got to be true to those characters. Is this something that character would say? Is this how that character would behave? You have to look at your brand the same way. Yeah. You have to really know it, understand it, and be able to create that arc of emotion, because people don't buy products. They buy emotion. I can tell you, when I buy clothes, I'm looking at my new life. How is this, going to change my life? How is this going to make me feel? It's about feelings. It's about connecting to emotion.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. And again, like tying the story, again, you didn't pause on that answer and I think through, again, brands connecting that to your point, like your values and what that core value is. I mean, that's the beauty of marketing when it's done right. You put those two things together and you'll make a meaningful connection, regardless of industry. And I think that's amazing, Dea.
Regardless.
Thank you.
And I'm going to tell you, it's so obvious which brands struggle. And I'm not going to speak of which brand.
Please. No, right. We might want to have them on the show.
Name two. You'll tell us when we stop recording.
But it is not surprising when I think about a publication and I'm like, I'm confused. Like, who is their audience? Wait, what are they? Right. They were this, but now they're writing about this. And once you're confused, you're lost. You cannot be confused. You have to be able to be very clear. And even when you're selling, and this goes, we were talking earlier off camera about AdTech. And I did find when I worked in AdTech, if I spoke to a seller in the Midwest and they explained what they were selling one way, then you talk to somebody in San Francisco, they explain it in a different way. The person in New York has a different story. I'm like, this place is not aligned. Nobody knows what the story is of what they're selling. Okay? You got to know it. And you've got to be able to simply articulate it.
Brevity. Get straight to the point. Like what is the value this is going to drive for the customer?
Right.
How does this help them?
It's amazing. Dea, thank you. This was fantastic. We really appreciate you joining us on the program.
We're done?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
all right,
we definitely, you know what? Part 2. How about that? We're going to have a part 2.
I'm not done talking.
Yes. Because we definitely have some stuff that we missed.
On and on. Okay.
Any other parting words of wisdom or advice that you would give to other marketers?
Yes,
and then we will end
variety every day. Please subscribe. Other marketers, please join us on the 90 plus events that we're doing on our branded content. Other marketers, I would just say, really, really know who you are and how are you going to articulate it clearly, concisely.
That's great.
That's it.
10 out of 10. No notes.
And keep thinking about the future.
No notes.
You got to look ahead and see what's coming up. You got to know what's coming around the corner. Don't just get stuck in, no, this is working. We're just going to keep doing this.
It's
all going to change.
It's all going to change. Dea, thank you, old friend. This was so good to see you. Really appreciate it. And Josh and I both look forward to being at least one of the 100 different events that you're going to be doing in 26.
I will invite you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.